Some people wonder who will end up taking care of them when they get older. But what happens when you need a caretaker before you're even old enough to need one? Or even worse, when you absolutely can't afford to hire one. It's these hardships in life that force us to grow up and make us stronger. And no one knows this better than an adorable 6-year-old little girl from China who had to rise up to the occasion and help her paralyzed father who needed help moving around, eating, and even sitting on his wheelchair. A father was involved in a horrible traffic accident that left him bedridden, but luckily, he wasn't alone. His prognosis was a grim one, as he has lost the ability to walk and was left paralyzed. This affected his life greatly, as he would now need to find new ways to move around in a wheelchair, having to learn how to do basic things. It was a really tough situation, but this dad had a little angel by his side. Little Jiajia was only 6 years old at the time, but that didn't stop her from stepping up and becoming his primary caretaker. Despite her young age, the little girl started to look after her dad in the Ningxia province home. Sadly, her mother had abandoned them after the accident, but little Jiajia wasn't afraid to take over, and soon enough, she was helping him with pretty much everything. She even helped her bedbound father move around, get a clean shave, and sit in his wheelchair with the help of a homemade mobility hoist. The media reported that the sweet little caretaker wakes up super early to get everything ready to take care of the household. A typical day for Jiajia starts at 6 a.m. every morning. The first thing in line is massaging her father's muscles, which helps return blood to his heart and partially compensates the lack of movement, as he can no longer move around like he used to. She does this for about half an hour, but just because she's too busy taking care of her dad, it does not mean that she forgets about her other chores. She also helps him wash his face, and even brushes his teeth. But once she's done with his morning ritual, it's time for her to leave for school. That's right, this lovely family understands the value of education, so she makes sure to go to her classes. When she returns, she feeds her father and helps him move around the house. Thankfully, they have a built-in homemade mobility hoist that holds his weight while he moves from the bed to his wheelchair, so he's still able to remain mobile. Still, Jiajia's dad needs constant help, so when she's in school, her grandparents, who are both farmers, take care of her dad. But if you ask Jiajia if she's tired of running the household all by herself, she has a clear answer. A Yangtze Evening News reporter asked the little girl if she felt overwhelmed by doing so much at home. "Looking after my dad, I don't feel tired at all," she responded. But even though she seems to be handling the situation like a pro, it wasn't easy at first. The accident pretty much caught them off guard, and things got complicated a few months later. 40-year-old Tian Haicheng was riding inside a taxi in March 2016 when the cab crashed into a ditch at full speed. 2 months after the horrific accident left him paralyzed, Jiajia's mother and his wife of 7 years decided to abandon them. She even took his eldest son with her. She told me on the day that she was going to stay in her mother's home for a few days, but she never returned, and she took our son with her, said Haicheng. Despite the tragedies this father and daughter had gone through, they are still glad to be in each other's life.